Hey, welcome to Dejuan's Aerial Quad channel. Today we are back in a familiar location to any longtime viewers of the channel. And we are in a town that has some of the funniest water towers. The one I've been teasing for a couple of weeks. That's right, we are in St. Clair, Missouri. Just off I-44. And before we look at the funny towers, we'll look at the regular towers the town has. This is, I believe, the third time I've ever flown in this town, actually. I've been here a couple times before. I should be linking at least one, if not both, of those videos here, assuming I remember how to do that. Right now in the screen recording, you can see, this is a thing I've noticed about the Mini 5 Pro, is that the gimbal is crooked sometimes, and then it just takes some time to straighten itself out. Kind of an interesting quirk with this particular drone. I don't remember that being a thing with the Mini 4 Pro. It is probably just something to do with the fact that it is able to do all of the angle manipulation with the gimbal. Can do all the rolling and whatnot. But here we have the other more standard, shall we say, water tower in good old St. Clair. Let's pop up again. And out here, this I think was called just St. Clair Lake. Nice easy name. Yeah, this one up here on your left is just a small pond, but down here it's a bigger one. St. Clair Lake, or maybe Lake St. Clair. I should be commenting that here on the video to correct myself, if necessary. Well, I guess it's necessary because I've said both names. I'm pretty sure it's Lake St. Clair, but me in the edit room will let you know for sure without risk of error. Somewhere right around here is where the school is. That looks like that's it right there, actually. So we'll head there first before we get to the somewhat comical water towers. Yeah, pretty quick to get a mile away in this bad boy. Mini 5 Pro is putting in some work today. This is... cycling through my batteries faster than I can keep them charged. I was talking about that in the last video. If this was my personal vehicle, it wouldn't be an issue, but in this rental, I do not have a great solution figured out. Nor will I for the remainder of this trip. Of course, I only have about, an hour or so before I get back on home. Get my car back. And then probably get to work on some editing. Got a lot of videos cut, or a lot of videos to cut. But yes, this is St. Clair. We're here just 2 or 3 months ago. Here's what it looks like with a foot of snow. If you've not been following this series, Missouri and good part of the state got hit with about a foot of snow. At least around here it was a foot of snow. Other places got a bunch of ice. Some places just got a bunch of rain. Depends pretty heavily on where exactly you are, as you know, weather does. But it was a massive storm system. Took up a big chunk of the map of the country. And yeah, so around here it was about a foot of snow. It fell about a week ago, but we've only had a day or two where the temperature has gotten into, above freezing, and it's never gotten higher than the 30s. So it's been plenty cold. Keep all this snow around. Life is pretty much back to normal. Now, a lot of the schools south of where I am actually had an entire snow week. The schools in my town both had Monday and Tuesday off, but I think they were all in school on Wednesday. Or if not by Wednesday, then by Thursday. But yeah, just 50 miles south of me or so, snow week. And that's a lot of snow sitting around and not going to school. I would have loved that as a student, but I can imagine as a parent, it's probably less delightful. One would think. I think as many videos as I'm shooting today, I might make this sort of a weekly upload. Right now I've got my Monday weekly uploads are from my big road trip out west last summer. So for these, and those come up on Mondays, maybe I'll have these come out on Thursdays. Because I probably have anywhere from like 4 to 7 videos. And I've got a little bit of side material, some shorts, some hyperlapses and things like that, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, we always appreciate Dead Armadillo sounds. Zach gives us some nice music to listen to. From the controller, I can't make up the text yet. You should be able to see it now. The famous St. Clair hot and cold water towers. Get a decent close-up here of them. I'm about a half-mile away, I think, depending on what kind of signal they've got on all that electronic stuff that's being transmitted. I think I ought to be able to get pretty close. Last time I was flying here and saw the towers, I was actually set up at the school, which is a fair bit farther away than my current location to the towers, so this should be better. Circle around and hot and cold. I actually kind of wonder why they built 2 right next to each other instead of just one big one. Maybe they were built at different times, different capacity needs. Hard to say without, being in the know. But otherwise, around here, some wooded area out in the distance, probably a bit of farmland, maybe some area for animals to graze.
Max altitude reached.
Max altitude reached. So it might be a bit of a mobile home. That one looks like a mobile home. This looks more like farm sort of structures. So yeah, hard to say what all exactly goes on in a place from 400 feet up. But I do know that I love this part of the country. I look forward to traveling more and flying in more diverse places, but the Midwest is pretty hard to beat for my money.
Max altitude reached.
I know. Hard to tell if that's snow or just white roofs. Either way, sure shows up well. All the videos from today, so pretty much everything in this series, are filmed with no filter on the old Mini 5 Pro here. I do have the Fly More combo, which means I've got an Indy 8, 32, and 128. And I mean, any of those would probably work fine on a day this bright and snowy. But, just don't feel like messing with them. Enough trouble keeping my batteries charged. Alright, I think the other side is a bit of a better view. Other side of the towers. That'd be a good spot to end things. Yeah, that's a little better. Alrighty, here we are, St. Clair, Missouri, home of the meme towers. Thanks for watching Dejuan's Aerial Quad channel, and I do hope I see you next time.